Canadian racers, make sure your next set of seatbelts and racing suit are from Pro1Safety.ca. Pro1 Racing and Safety products offer high-quality products made in the USA and now distributed in Canada. Pro1 Canada offers seatbelts, racing suits, helmets, and all sorts of safety accessories for drag racers. See for yourself why NHRA sportsmen world champions such as Bo Butner, Jeff Strickland, the Emmons brothers, Austin Williams, and many more rely on Pro1 Racing and Safety products. Join the winners. Choose Pro1. Buy high-quality American-made products from your Canadian wholesale distributor at Pro1Safety.ca.
Hello and welcome back to the Bracket Life broadcast. Tonight, not as always, but sometimes, we're all alone here. Just Brandon here tonight. Andrew got called in, emergency meeting. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but Andrew's a pretty big deal, right? He's got a lot of stuff going on. So, got an emergency meeting. We're not going to have Andrew tonight. Did send him the link, right? If he gets off early, maybe he'll jump on. We'll see what happens. But we have a great special guest here tonight, Bruce Mehlenbacher, coming on once I get through the countdown. It's going to be awesome. Talk to Bruce just before the show a little bit. A lot of really cool content, a lot of really cool history there. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. Before we do get officially kicked off in the show here tonight, I want to start out by thanking our sponsors, Pro1Safety.ca. We have the Pro1 USA, but we have the little Canadian flag up there. Sorry, my camera's reversed, but so Pro1 Safety Canada offers racing safety equipment, including seatbelts, harnesses, fire suits, helmets, anything like that. Whatever you need to stay safe in your race car, Pro1Safety.ca has that to offer you. Be sure to shop Canadian. Get your safety gear before the season gets too heavy. I'd say before the season starts. For some of you, that's too late, right? Some of you have already been out. If you're like me and in the Ottawa, Montreal area racing and have just sat in the rain the last 3 weeks, then your season hasn't started. But that's all right. That's how it goes. Visit the website, Pro1Safety.ca, for more information. Reach out to your local distributor, local enough. Jay Bellew in the Quebec area, Matt's Auto Racing, Matt and Jono DeVries in Ontario, Southern Ontario area, Jason McNeil for the Maritimes, Travis Ringeth, TNT Motorsports for the Western Canadian drag racers. So, yeah, check them out. Thank you to Pro1Safety.ca. Have a new fire suit ordered today. We put in, should be here in a couple days from Jay. So that's on its way. Get it sorted out. Got our new Pro1Safety.ca stickers on the side of the dragster. We went to Naperville this weekend. Didn't get to race, sat in the rain, whatever. But we did get new stickers on the dragster. So that's all good. Seatbelts are in before we went to the track, obviously. So yeah, I got new ones. Mike got new ones. Mike's getting a new suit. Yeah. New stickers, everything like that. So yeah, shop Canadian. That's about it. That's what I got for the Pro1Safety.ca. So if you are tuning in live, be sure to let us know you're here. Let us know you're hanging around. Fire in the comments, questions, things like that throughout the show. Should be awesome, really good. So as always, we love your contribution to the show and being involved there. Love seeing the comments. We'll dive into Canadian Countdown. I do not have a whole lot of stuff. I was hoping to go over a bunch of Dragway 42 stuff with Andrew, to be honest with you. He made a big trip to Ohio, Dragway 42 for the Ace race. They did see some rain on Friday. Friday's race was canceled. Instead of doing three $20,000 to win races, they did two 30s. Andrew was in, I want to say, round 4 of Saturday's 30. And then I believe lost round 3 of Sundays. I haven't, he's been crazy busy, right? That's how it goes. So I haven't got a chance to actually go over the weekend with him. But I'm sure we'll talk about that on the next time he is on, because Andrew is headed this weekend to Coonley Motorsports Park in Ohio once again. We talked with Antoine Jett and Matt Richeza a few episodes ago about their big event there. So yeah, Andrew's going down to support those guys, support Jet Promotions. So that'd be really cool. like I said, he's got a lot going on. Wish him the best. I love watching Andrew go down there and turn a bunch of wind lights on. For myself and the whole crew here, we all loaded up. We headed to Naperville. Left Friday night. They did get to race Naperville Friday, did a gambler's race. Uh, Phil Harvey took the win in Super Pro over Adam Bitsanis for the first win of the season. Naperville had not had a chance to race yet either, so they got that in Friday, which was good. Daryl Jensen took the semi-pro win over Russ Frazier. Russ had some issues, broke before the final round. Daryl got the bye in the final for the big win, so congratulations to him. Starting out his year strong, right? Can't get any better than that. We rolled in Friday night. Saturday morning, knew it was going to be kind of a wash. It actually didn't start raining until 11, maybe just after 11. So we hung out we had the cars out. Knew we weren't going to get a race in. We were hoping to get at least a time trial or two since we haven't had a chance to try it in yet. So we did that, got them out. Like I said earlier, got the new Pro 1 safety stickers on the side, and then the rain started to come. So we put the stuff all back away, hung out, hung out in the rain, even though it was a kind of crappy day. Not very fun for anybody that was looking forward to racing, such as myself. But it was really great to see all your friends, everybody you haven't seen all winter. You haven't really got a chance to talk to, right? Because you just don't cross paths with those people. So the racetrack where we all come together, we did that, saw everyone. Still did the Angers Fun Party Saturday night. Bacon was as good as ever. This is the first time that Alex was able to really eat the bacon. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. Rachel and I and Alex went up there, got her a piece. She, loved it, dove right into it, as everybody does, right? It's the best racetrack bacon there is. I'll guarantee that. So we had fun. Sunday, woke up, was hoping that it was going to be better, sprinkling on off, and then they ended up deciding to be done with it. It was too cold, too windy, not going to be safe for anybody out there, and wasn't going to be worth the hassle. So unfortunately didn't get to make a run down the racetrack, but that's racing. That's how our spring has in our racing season has started. So it is what it is. I know the Race Cayuga Sportsman Series did get some racing in. I do have some results here I can share with you quick. Ooh, lost them there. Saturday winner, shocking here. Mike Konopacki. Mike Konopacki did take the win. Over Phil Brown in the bike and sled. Bob Richards over Tom Wojo. Casey Kovacs takes the win over Stanley McLean, and Rob Lang takes the win over Blake Sutton. So those are the results I do have from Cayuga. I know Top Eliminator Edmonton did have a race this past weekend. Tanner Gates took the win. I believe that's his second big win of the year over Darren O'Connor. And then race 3, Joe Graves takes the win over Kurt Smith. The weekend before was at Rad Torque Raceway. Did see Tanner Gates take a win also on Saturday. That was over our boy Travis Ringis. I cannot remember who won Sunday's race. Travis was also in the finals for that one. So good for them. They've had some great starts. Mission did have a race this weekend as well. We'll see some results from there sometime soon once they all get posted. But that's what I got so far for the Canadian Countdown. Not a whole lot of stuff. I'm sure there's a bunch of action going on. I'm sure there's a bunch of results from Epping this last weekend. I don't have them right now. We have a huge show lined up with Bruce coming on in a second. So we'll go through all that. Bristol's going to be another well-attended Canadian event, I believe. So it should be good. For myself, we have Luskville the next 2 weekends. And yeah, let's hope that it's sunny for me, at least for one day. I'd like to race a little bit. I talk about racing enough, but it'd be nice to do it. So without further ado, we will move on to the main event of tonight. Very proud to introduce, Bruce Mehlenbacher here. Sorry, I was just getting you set up. Bruce, welcome to the show. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Great to have you here. Bruce, obviously the Director of Operations for the Quick 32 Sportsman Series, Pro Bike and Sled Series, and the 550 Super Series. These classes, along with box and no box, compete at Empire Dragway, 4-race series or 4-weekend series, June 20th to 21st, July 18, 19, August 15th and 16th, and they finish it off with their championship weekend, September 19th and 20th. Bruce also, the 2023 Canadian Drag Racing Hall of Fame inductee, was inducted along with his father, which was a really cool honor to have and be inducted there. So, that's your intro, Bruce. That's what you get for tonight.
Yeah, thank you. Before we start, I want to offer condolences to Kevin Wickey's family. Kevin lost his dad a couple days ago. Caden runs the Quick 32. Cody was one of my fire guys back in the day that we talked about earlier at Grand Bend and Cayuga. And those deals are tough. And Kevin Wickey has been behind my series ever since it started. And back in 2009, he won the championship in 2009, and he won the championship again in 2010. And then Caden won a race last year. It was pretty special because, like I said, Kevin's a good friend. And it's funny. I talk to him. I can talk to him about things sometimes. And what do you think we should do? What don't you think we should do? Where do you think we should go with a race? And he just says, I don't care. He says, wherever you go, I'm following you. He says, so it's nice to have support.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's great. Great to have those guys behind you, the support there. And then obviously, like you said, a very tough time for everyone involved. So tough deal. Thinking about the Wiki family, right? Great people. Obviously, have known of the Wikis for a long time, and Kevin's been a great racer for a long time as well. So definitely tough situation for those folks right now.
Yeah. So anyway, here we go. I'm doing 4 races this year, once a month. That's all I really want to do, and I think the teams are happy with that too. We've got tremendous support going into the first race. I've got over 50 teams committed to the Quick 32 Sportsman Series. There's 31 top dragsters committed, and for 16 spots, and there's 22 top sportsman teams committed for 16 spots. So it'll be down and dirty, that's for sure. It's gonna be competitive. There's no question about it. And I mean, we'll dive more into that stuff. The Bike and Sled Series. We started that, I think, in 2011, something like that. Harvey Silverthorne was with Wiseco Pistons, and he did a lot of bike and snowmobile parts, and we started that thing. And the odd time, and most of the time, I thought I was running my head against the wall trying to pull that deal off because we had some pretty slim pickings, but it's come around. And once again, I got good teams. I got good teams. Josie Brooks and Nicole Albin. Nicole's got a sled. Josie Brooks, everybody knows she's got a pretty quick motorcycle, right? They come to all my races, and it's great to have them there, and we're getting tons of interest. The 550 Super Series, the 550 it's the 550 Index Series. Well, that's not very sexy, so a friend of mine, Mike Goodwin, that does all my logos and stuff, and he has forever, he says, I don't like that title. And I go, well, that's what it is. And he says, yeah, but let's change it to 550 Super Series. So I said, do me up a logo. So we got a really slick logo. That deal, Brandon, sort of got thrown onto me when I met with Jerry Senior from Empire last fall. He says, I want you to run the 550 class with your program. And I go, yeah, okay. So but it's interesting, and it's going to get some Canadian content in it as well, and I think it's going to be strong too. So that's kind of where all that stuff started. It started back with the PMRA, the Pro Modified Racing Association, back in 2005.
Yeah, no, it's huge. It's really cool. I love that. Obviously the field's going to be huge, with over 50 racers committed and teams committed. So it should be awesome. There's so many fast cars here in this area, within the certain radius of it, right? I think Empire for me is only 4 hours.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really fast cars in that 4-hour radius of Empire, and not very many options to go race in a fast bracket series, right? So a lot of these guys are looking for it. Empire is a great racetrack with great track prep. They have a spot to go do that. They have a spot to go do it safely. So a great selection of where to host a race, and obviously with the commitment that you already have, obviously is a hotbed for racers that want an event like this.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. We get to, obviously, New York State teams, and it's like down there. I mean, they drive to another state for breakfast, right? So we got them coming from Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and New York State, and then I've got 10 teams committed to come from Ontario. So it's a slick program. We run it. A lot of the teams show up on Thursday. Sometimes we do test and tune Thursday. And Friday we run qualifying in the afternoon, and then again Friday evening we come back Sunday morning and qualify, or Saturday morning and qualify again, and we run the race. So it's basically a Friday Saturday program, and the guys and girls love it because they're home for lunch, or worst case scenario they're home for supper on Sunday evening. And we've all done the late Sunday night thing and getting on the racetracks, and that's no fun, right? So we try to make the races, the events, work them around the racers and listen to them and spend time with them. And we got a great group of really good teams and great competitors and some pretty slick race cars.
Absolutely. I've seen a bunch of the photos. You've been doing a great job at promoting this series to this point. Obviously, you've been posting about the teams, been posting about their cars and whatnot, and the drivers that are coming to these events. Some wicked looking race cars around.
Yeah,
there.
they sure are.
Right, and especially with fast stuff, right? Fast stuff's so cool, and there's not very many backyard fast cars. You know what I'm saying? Like in terms of like, these are top-notch race cars. These are full-built units that are put together nice. So it's really cool to see all that stuff, learn about those racers, and this is a huge highlight for them to get talked about, right? So that's the press releases like that are awesome for the racers themselves.
Yeah, well, you know what? You treat people the way you want to be treated yourself, and I spend a lot of time with the teams. We have drivers meetings, and they all come and see me, or I go see them when they get there, and it's a real family atmosphere. The Quick 32, it is fast. The number one qualifiers were like 370 in that neighborhood. The bump last year was 470. This year it's probably going to be a 450. And in the last couple of years at Empire, it was no different than the first years with the Quick 32 that we started it. Teams would come to me and they would go, well, what if I can't qualify? And I went through that back in the day. And then I went through that here for the first couple of years. And I would explain to them, this is a race, right? It is a drag race. And the idea is to go quick. But that being said, I will take care of you. If you don't qualify, I'll put you in a race. I'll put you in a box or no box deal, or we'll do a consi race, right? So that's the most important thing to a racer. He wants to race one way or another, right?
Yep.
But now they've figured it out, and now they're going, well, I'm going to qualify. That's all there's to it. I'm going to qualify for it. And so it's going to be a fun year. It's going to be a fun year, and the same goes for all three of the categories. They're in the box and no box. I mean, they're a good supplement too. We are running with the Pro Modified cars at the July event on July the 18th and 19th. So Pro Modifieds are going to be there then, but they're not going to be at the other couple races. PMRA is not really doing too much this year. The racers, we're going through a cycle where there's big Pro Modified races everywhere, right? So we'll just lay back and see what opportunities come later in the year or next year or the year after. But right now, we're concentrating on the Quick 32 and the PBSS and the 550 Super Series.
Yeah, and as we all know, right, this is a huge investment to get into this, all right? then you start running something like the Quick 32 or the PBSS as well, right? I think because I don't race bikes or sleds, right? I don't think of it as much, and it kind of gets brushed over, I think, a lot. But snowmobile and or a bike that gets ran in these classes, it's not just some run of the mill unit that's just put together
Yep.
and away they go, right? These are high dollar pieces that are fast, right? I remember
Yep.
when you being around some of the races when you first started the PBSS, and like these guys were flying, and I'm watching these guys on sleds that are going, crazy speeds. I'm like, there's no chance I would ever do something like that, right? So
Yep.
there's a big financial commitment to be into this, and then you also don't want to, as a racer, you can't spend all this money to go run this certain class or series or category, and then next year it's gone. So there's that building blocks that need to be set that you're going to be there for the racers that put the investment in that want to be involved, right? So that's why those guys they can invest in their cars to go faster. They can
Yeah.
invest in trying to make the bump, right?
That happened. That happened a lot at the end of the last year. I mean, I've never had so many teams. I mean, I was a new guy in town, right? I was a new guy down there, and but I never had so many people at the end of the year, teams and competitors saying, "Come back. We want you back. We want to run your series again." And that feels good when you're wanted like that, right?
Yeah.
Because it is fun. It is competitive. Great teams, great people. It's drag racing. I mean, that's what it is. We're all hooked. So.
Absolutely. You and I did talk, and I believe you were having a conversation earlier today about addiction, right? And
Yeah.
about the drag racing addiction that we all do have. So once you are in, you're in. It's very hard to get out.
Yeah.
So love that, right? I love that the series has really found a home at Empire, and that those racers have really, gravitated towards that. You talked about the Friday Saturday race. There's a lot of series I find are doing that now, right?
Mhm.
Everybody's got a long way to drive, right? And you talked about late Sunday nights, so that is what it is, right? When I race at Luskville, and I'm an hour and a half away from home, or Naperville, say I'm 3 hours, not really a huge deal. But if I'm going to drive 8 hours to a race, and then you leave Sunday night to get home, that sucks, right? You're messing up Monday, or you mess up Friday, And when I talk to some guys with the NHRA National Open Series here, they're like, to get those guys to drive further to come support our race, either mess up Friday and Thursday afternoon, or you mess up Monday. Well, Monday kind of sucks to mess up, right? Starting the new
Yeah.
week and whatnot. So easier for those guys. Get away, get there Thursday night, whatever it is. The Friday qualifying is awesome. I remember that from growing up, and the Friday night sessions were always, that was the big deal. That was so much fun. And then now racing all Saturday is really good, and having that together time Saturday night after the race, and then relaxing, putting it all away, getting closed up to head home Sunday is so much more enjoyable. You know what I'm saying? And
Oh yeah. Nobody has fun at 2 o'clock in the morning finishing a race out there. So.
You're correct, right? So much better to do it that way, and it's 4 weekends. That's the beautiful part of this, is that you're not asking these guys to take 15 weeks or days off a year. You got 4 weekends. And the people that are committed to this type of a series and race, right? They're all in for that, so it's a cool deal. Are these for those races for a box and no box? Do they still race on Sunday? Is that an option there, or
No, we're just Empire doesn't run on Sundays. They
Okay.
they do once in a while, but not on any kind of regular basis. They shut it down. They're Friday Saturday racetrack. So
There you go. Well, that's
yeah,
not bad. Seems to be working for them, because I've
yeah,
heard there's a lot of great improvements and
yeah.
a great
And
facility to always go to.
yeah, that area down there too is kind of a hotbed for motorcycles. For motorcycles that run in the series, and well, they run Friday night at or Lancaster, right? So
Yeah.
I give them 2 shots on Sunday, so they can stay and support their local racetrack on Friday night. So that's really helped. They can run Lancaster at home, so to speak, on Friday night, and then come and get in our program on Saturday.
Yeah, I love that. Right? It's always old stories from around, right? That I'd always hear guys used to do. They do whatever the loop. Guys from Ontario would do the loop. They do, and I'm not sure exactly the order, but they do Lancaster, Cicero or Esta, and then they do Empire as well, and then back up all the way around the lake, right, and then back into Ontario.
Yep.
So always heard about that. So it's really cool to kind of keep that alive a little bit, right, with the Lancaster and then the Empire.
Yeah. Well, we talked about this earlier. I had a long conversation with Jim Oddie today, and I don't know. I mean, your listeners should know who Jim Oddie is. I mean, he's a legend in the sport. He run pro modifieds, and with Freddie Hahn driving the car, won lots of championships, and he started in 1958. The first drag strip he went to was Cayuga in 1958. And I asked him a time or two ago, I said, what got you hooked? He said, you're going to think I'm crazy, but it was the BG and the A modified and the Gasser modified and all that stuff. He said, that intrigued me. And he was always involved then running comp eliminator. So, and in the 60s and in the 70s and in the 80s, we ran competition eliminator, modified eliminator, super stock eliminator, and stock eliminator every weekend. And guys like Audie and Zakia and the Vanny brothers and Beatty and Woods and FJ Smith and the Stormalong guys and Peter Fedden and Wally Clark, they ran four times a week. They ran at Niagara, they ran at Cayuga, they ran at Empire, they run at Lancaster, and usually they pick up one somewhere else. So yeah, we're not first to be doing what you're doing, but they did it in the past, and it's always fun talking to those guys that have been around forever, and Jim is still heavily involved in the sport. So
yeah, it's so neat, right? There's so much history that so many people don't realize or don't think of, right? Because I find it's not documented anywhere, right? There's nowhere you can go read about Canadian drag racing history.
Yeah.
And then there's always so many of those guys around still, and then to find them, right? There's such a wealth of knowledge, a wealth of all that history and where the sport has came from. That's so cool. Bruce, we'll talk more about. I have two more questions about the Quick 32, and then I really want to talk about your history. I want to talk about how much it is to enter, how much it is to win all the classes, and then let's roll on from that.
All right. Well, I'll start at the Quick 32. The Quick 32 is 350, and when we're down there, we're in the U.S., so we talk American money, right?
Yep.
The Quick 32 is $350 to enter. That's the entry fee, the driver's fee, and 3 crew. So 4 people in your entry fee for $350. When we first started the Quick 32, the Quick 32, I guess I didn't really explain it. What the Quick 32 is, it's top dragsters and top sportsmen. So we qualify the 16 quickest top sportsmen and the 16 quickest top dragsters. They run down to have a winner, and then we run an overall eliminator between the dragster and the top sportsman car. So when we first started that program, we paid $3,000 to win. And then I get the deal. Well, the dragster can't beat the sportsman car. The sportsman can't beat the dragster and all that. So we changed the format. So it pays $1,800 to win top sportsman, $1,800 to win top dragster, and the overall winner $500. So I got rid of all that disagreement. The purse goes back. You got to win one round to start getting money. The Bike and Sled Series, it's priced quite a bit different. The purse isn't as big. It's $200 to go in. It's rider and 3 crew people as well. Pays $1,000 to win and goes back the same way. You got to win one round to get in the money. The Super Series, I think entry fee for that is like $150, and that's just car and driver, and it pays $1,800. It's a qualified field, but everybody runs. So
nice.
other than that, it's 8th mile and all the normal rules and stuff go along with it. So,
Yeah. So essentially, for top sportsman, top dragster, it gets skimmed over, right? That entry fee, $350. Okay, that's enough. But then that comes with free crew. So you go on a normal weekend, say that's $50 each, right? For a
yeah,
spectator entry, a crew entry. So say that value is $150. Your entry is 200 to run for that. What it would be, $2,300. So plus, you know, the track's gonna be right. You know what goes into a racetrack to make it work for low 4 second, high 3 second race cars, right? That doesn't just happen on its own, right? That takes time, effort, and money to
yeah,
make that racetrack work. That it comes with safety safari, safety equipment, safety personnel, right? Those guys don't just show up, for nothing, and that all costs money on top. So that's a great value for that to go run fast and safe at one event for a great purse. So I'm sorry, the entry fees for as a racer, I just want to make sure it gets talked about because that's a great deal, and it gets skimmed over how important that crew entry is when you're doing something like this.
yeah. You know what? I don't have very many complaints, to be honest with you. The only time I have complaints with the series is when somebody doesn't read the logistics and the rules, right? And
Yeah.
we set stuff up for a certain reason over the years, and I'll give you an example. Caden Wiki won the first race last year, and then he came back, and I don't know what he did in the second race, but the third race he broke the car, so he qualified 16th, but he went home, and the teams couldn't understand why he was really even on the ladder. Well, he was on the ladder because he qualified 16th. So it's simple stuff. You just got to take the time with the people and tell them why you did it that way,
Yep.
and then everything's hunky dory after that until the next time, right? So. Like I say, we have a good bunch of teams, and I spend a lot of time with them. We have drivers' meetings. We talk about things. I listen to them, take their input, and some of it's good, some of it we use, some of it we don't use. But everybody has their say, and when you go, you got any questions? Most of them shut up anyway. So
Yeah. Yeah.
anyway, it is what it is. So we've been doing it for a long time, and we got a formula of some sort, and so yeah, it's fun. It's good. It's great.
Absolutely. And the proof essentially is in the pudding for your races. We talked about the PMRA, we talked about the Quick 32, the history there. Um, that's the original stomping grounds of those events for racers like Eric Latino, Melanie Salemi, formerly Melanie Simmons, right? Eric obviously I believe was a PMRA champion.
Yes, he was.
I know he won multiple events, champion there. Melanie started in Top Dragster, running the Quick 32 stuff there.
Yes.
Moved up through that. Melanie Slemmy now, the first lady of Pro Mod racing. So,
Yes.
Kind of a big deal. You can say that. And then obviously Spencer Hyde began his career there. Started up, did all that stuff. Top Dragster, did Top Sportsman, kept going faster, 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 and now he's running Nitro Funny Cars. So kind of cool where those racers came from, right? What their roots are, and then obviously must be neat for you to have been a part of really the beginning of their careers to a certain point, and then seeing where they go from that.
Yeah, you're right. Melanie, I think it was probably her first year in the big dragster when she went to Quick 32, and she won an event. She won a Quick 32 event. Spencer and Spencer's sister come up through junior dragsters, and they both ran Quick 32. And I've been thinking about what you asked me earlier, whether Spencer ever ran a PMRA race or not. I don't know, but I don't know if in the olden days whether he did or not. But all the pro modified races that have been at Empire for the last 3 years are sanctioned or blessed by PMRA, and he's run over there a couple times. So I guess he has, yeah. And I've heard some of his interviews, and he's a good kid. He's not a kid anymore, but he was a kid when he ran the Quick 32, and he hasn't forgotten where he came from.
No.
And neither has Melanie. And look what Eric Latino's doing. I mean, it's pretty amazing what he's built down there.
Absolutely. So it's really cool. Some of the other names that kind of come to mind when I think of the Quick 32 myself, right? Carl Spearing ran there for a lot of years, did very well. Scott Wildgust did awesome in that in a dragster, and then I believe did some pro mod stuff.
Yes.
With you, Rob Atchison obviously got it when he was out of the alcohol funny car with the whole IHRA deal. Came race with you, right? All these big players in
Mike Stawicki.
Mike Stawicki, right? I remember watching him 15 years ago going 570s at Grand Bend, right? In a time before every race car went 570s. So that was a really cool deal. So there's some huge names that raced the PMRA Quick 32 and that came out of there and went on to do, massive things in drag racing. So really cool stuff.
We talked earlier about where the PMRA come from.
Yep.
Well, what happened was back in 2005, we had the 50th anniversary of Puga Dragway, and I ran into Bob Elliott at that reunion, and Bob's always had a craving to run Top Fuel. So he said, I want you to come to work for me, and he says, I want you to find me a sponsor to go Top Fuel racing. So I didn't have anything better to do, so I said, yeah, sure. So we went to Rockingham then, because he was looking for a team that he could belly up with and drive for. And I walked by Carl Spearing's tent because he was running pretty competitive pro modified cars back then. And he goes, Mehlenbacher, I need to see you over here. So anyway, I went in and I said, what's up, Carl? He says, I want you to start a pro modified series. And I go, well, where'd that come from? He says, well, there's a whole lot of pro modified cars around Ontario and Western New York State that we all know of. But we got to get somebody to organize the deal, right? So we book a room in Hamilton at the Holiday Inn, and we bring all these guys in, Boland and the Buffalo Gang and on and on and on. Scotty Wildgust. Well, Scotty was the guy that got me going with the Quick 32 deal. But anyway, there was 13 guys in the room, and they all had to belly up and pull out a check and write, the membership fee, and that's how the whole thing started. And it's interesting because I did talk to Carl Spearing today too about some stuff, and he still remembers that, and I remember him because it was his fault, right? So I keep reminding him of that. That's where it started from, back in 2005, and Carl won the first race against Al Billis on Victoria Day weekend in 2005, and well, look what Al Billis has gone on to do.
Yep.
And then Scott Wildgust came to me in 2009 and with the Quick 32 idea, and same thing. We rented a room in Woodstock, I think it was, and invited all the guys in. And when we announced what we were going to try to do, I honestly had a couple people get up and say, "You're crazy. We're leaving," right? Because it was a membership fee thing, and that'll never work. And they left, and everything goes. They cycled back in and ran some of our races, and we don't do the membership fee anymore. I still do a points championship. Last year was a handshake and a hug and a nice trophy, but I had champions, and they fought for it, and they were proud to win it. And someday we'll find that pot of gold at the end of the rainbow and support this program. But racers are in it to race. Money's great, and there's guys like you and Andrew that, you go off and do your big bracket race things. There's guys that just want to run the regular weekend, and there's guys that just want to do my program, special events. And I mean, everybody knows how expensive race cars are, and most of my teams, they're successful business guys, and they got a cottage. I remember talking to Fred DeJong about Victoria Day weekend, and he goes, "I don't want to run Victoria Day weekend. If it's going to rain, I want to be sitting in my cottage. I don't want to be sitting in the pits, right?" And I mean, we've all done it on Victoria Day weekend forever and ever, and 9 times out of 10, it's a crap weekend, but. Anyway, it is what it is. There's a spot for everybody, I guess, is what they're saying.
Yeah, yeah. I love it. I love the stories. I love the inception of that. Bruce Bowen, you did bring up, right? A name I missed that. Bruce, a legend in Canadian drag racing, obviously.
Yeah, I know. I made him a legend.
Yeah,
I made Bowen a legend.
Absolutely.
And he was a good competitor, and he was he was same thing. He was running him and a bunch of those guys were running Super Chevy programs back then, before that thing started. And 05, or back in that neighborhood, I went to work with Gustin for a while, the Super Chevy things. And those guys, a lot of them were running down there with him too. And all we did is we just got them all under one umbrella and organized them, right? And because Hugo was running an event, and then Grand Bend was putting one on top of them, and it was all over the place. So we went and we set up specific weekends. So we got all the cars at Hugo on Victoria Day weekend, and we got all the teams at Grand Bend on Labor Day weekend and in between. We had some success, and we just lost Jacques Bertin from Saint Air. I mean, we ran at Saint Air for a couple of years, and I've known Jacques for a long time. He's another legend of Canadian motorsport without a question. And we ran at Luxville, right? I never ran at Naperville, but we ran at Luxville too. And we've been to a lot of different places and had a lot of fun. And we've ran at US 131. He calls me every year. We try to put a program together, but we haven't for the last few years. And whatever happens. We'll do the 4, and there may be an opportunity for another one later on in the year, but I can't talk about that right now. We'll see if that happens or doesn't happen. So
yeah, no, it's lots of exciting stuff, right? I love the behind the scenes of it, right? We talk to racers, right? And racers love racing, and that's all good, but there's so much more behind it, right? Behind drag racing, what goes into a drag race, one weekend, let alone a full schedule or a full year, or to get the racetrack together and whatnot. So there's so much more of that that's so cool to talk about, and to organize it and kind of be the maestro, if that's the right word, you know what I'm saying, for the whole deal, is so cool. It's something I've always wanted to do and wanted to become, to a certain point, because a well executed drag race, there's nothing like it, right? When nothing's ever perfect, right? Nothing ever runs smooth, that, but when you can have your racers or your spectators or people from the outside look in and it just looks seamless, that's pulling that off is massive, right? And
yeah, well, they know they can get in.
Yep.
I mean, I give those guys the password at the gate, to open the gate at 3:00 in the morning, so they don't have to line up outside. They get in. Doesn't matter when they get there on Thursday or when they get there on Friday. So that's seamless, right? The place is beautiful. There's pavement for everybody, or grass if you want grass. The track is good. The safety's good. The people are good. The tech's good. The food's okay. Washrooms are clean. And we start on time. We have a schedule. I got the schedule now for the whole year. I mean, we know what time we're starting at in June, July, August, September. They're all the same. We know when qualifying is, and barring bad weather, we'll start on time, and it'll go clickety 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 click, and by 8:00 Saturday night we're done, and then the teams can go and get together, or they can load up and go home, whatever they want to do. So everybody likes to be organized in life, and that's, I mean, I go to some races every once in a while, and I'm thinking, you got the experts here. How come it's not running smooth, right? But
yeah.
Anyway, and it seems to happen time after time after time. But anyway, that's a story for another day too, right?
Yeah, exactly. So Bruce, we've talked a lot of history, or a bit of history. I guess we haven't really even touched on the real history of the whole deal. So I want to talk about that. You've been around this for a while, right? You know, as I talked about earlier, you were inducted to the Canadian Drag Race Hall of Fame in 2023, along with your father at the same time. I didn't realize this before, um, but where racing started for you. Let's start with the Mehlenbacher family. How did the Mehlenbacher family get into drag racing? And when was
Well, I'll start out the same way as I started out my speech at the Canadian Drag Racing Hall of Fame. The rumor is I was conceived in the hot dog stand at Cayuga Dragway. So, but anyway, I don't know that for sure. But anyway, what happened back then is after the Second World War, Cayuga is on a training base, obviously, and a lot of people know that, but maybe some people don't. It was a training base in the Second World War. Um, our family were big into farming operations, and my grandfather bought the property, Cayuga Dragway, which is TMP now. There's 350 acres there, so he bought that. And then what happened is back then, and it's sort of the same period that happened in the United States. It was 1952, 1954 sort of thing. Um, um, Billy the Kid, that ran Comp Eliminator, was one of the first guys, and Scott Wilson, that came out because they said, and I talked to them a couple of years ago. They read what they were doing in California. They were street racing, and they were getting onto runways and stuff at airports. So they found the property in Cayuga, and they came to my grandfather and my dad, sort of thing, at that time, and go, we want a place to race. And so that's basically where it started in 1954. So that evolved. When I say we, it was my family. They leased the racetrack out year after year after year. It was originally a piston pusher car club, and Don Douglas and Larry Rook. And then it was George Foote with Carbelt ran it for a while. And then we had different people come in and try to do it. And my family just ran the hot dog stand. I mean, Dad always kept the concessions because that's where you can make money at a racetrack, right? And then in about 1971, there's 6 kids in our family. And Dad gathered us around the kitchen table, and he said, your mom and I have decided that we're going to run everything next year, because if we're not going to make money, we're not going to make money. We're not going to get screwed over at the gates anymore with rentals and stuff. So he said, Bruce, you're going to be the track manager. Bill, you're going to be the announcer. Barb, you're in charge of the concession stands. Julie was pretty young, and Kelly was, I don't know, 8 years old or something. I mean, well, we were all kids, right? I mean, we were all teenagers, right? And so, yeah, that's the way it started. And then my dad said to me, he said, well, first things first, he says, I got you a job. I go, oh, that's cool. Well, first off, he said, I bought you a car. And I said, oh, that's really cool. I said, he says, well, you're going to need it, because on the weekend you got to be at ATCO, New Jersey, because you're working for Darwin Dahl and the NHRA Division I crew. You're going to learn this racket. So I did that for a few years, and did the Cayuga stuff at the same time. And we did that 1984, and then the track was sold. And I went to Cayuga Speedway and ran the oval track, the 5/8 mile over track, for Bob Slack for 10 years. And the story's funny. I mean, if you're a motorsport person at all, you know the name Junior Hanley. I mean, Junior Hanley is a legend in stock car racing. And the first day I was there, Hanley comes up to me, and Junior's kind of in a nice way, a farmer. And he goes, hey, Mehlenbacher, he says, what are you doing here? He says, you're a drag racer. And he still says it to me to this day. But it was pretty simple, because I didn't change anything. I just went in there and I did the marketing and promotion for it. And everybody that was in the infrastructure of Cayuga Speedway, they were there. They were still there. And I had a great relationship with Bob Slack. And tomorrow morning, I go to it's a stock car racers breakfast, and they meet the first Wednesday of every month. So Dragway Memories isn't first either, right? I mean, there's that whole group of people. So we did that, and then Massenburg come along. I went to John Massenburg, and we incorporated. We started filming the races at Cayuga Speedway. That CTV were doing it. We called it Raceline Motorsport Television. And then we drifted off, and we did stock car racing, drag racing. We did events. We did John Forsteel when he was at St. Thomas. We did drag races in Calgary. We did rallies on the East Coast and in Peterborough. We did truck and tractor pulling. We did everything that was motorsport. And at that time there was one TSN. There was one TSN, and we got the show on there. And I don't know what it would be like now. There's like 4 or 5 different networks. That might be really interesting. But anyway, we got it on there. And then we brought Eric Thomas on board because he was kind of the voice of motorsport. And that's when we started Raceline Motorsport Radio. When we started that off, and that was 35 years ago when we started Raceline Radio. But there was no internet. There was no social media. If you wanted to know who won the U.S. Nationals, you had to wait a week or 10 days to get National Dragster. If you wanted to know who won, the Daytona 500 and the Indy 500, they were different because they were live broadcasts. But if you wanted to know, who won at Bristol, for example, you had to wait for National Speed Sport News to come in your mailbox to get it. And you know what it's like getting mail. I mean, sometimes it was a month old before we would learn. So that's when we started, and we'd get on the phone, Sunday night, Saturday, and find out who won at all these races, and we interviewed live celebrities, whether it's AJ Foyt or Mario Andretti or Dale Earnhardt Sr. Or Bobby Allison, Davey Allison, Shirley Muldowney, blah 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 blah. And I know that you're going to want a story about some of these clowns as we move on, but. So anyway, that blended on, and I don't know what happened after that. I did stock car stuff, and then, I'm back to where I started, and I'll probably finish where I started too, because obviously the drag racing is in my blood.
Yeah.
So that's sort of the long and short of it, and I get teased sometimes because I couldn't keep a job, right? Because I was always doing something different, but it's fun, it's fun because. I'm one of the luckiest guys in the world. Like, I never had a job, right? Like, every day I would get up and love what I'm doing. And I had relations, but, not that kind of relations, but with Linda Vaughn and Shirley Muldowney and Don Perdome and Don Garlitz and Dale Earnhardt and Bobby and Davey Allison and on and on and on and on. And, I can't remember it all. And I'm a lucky guy. I really am. And, I'm grateful for my career in motorsport.
Yeah.
So, there you go. That's the long and short of it.
Absolutely. I love it. That's cool, right? There's so much there to think about, right? And then I would imagine for yourself, right? You sit there and different things will remind you of different times or different periods of the past, right? Because there have been so many different eras, I guess, of drag racing and of motorsports in general, right? Where it started and then where it's progressed and the innovation through the whole thing to where it is today, right? It's unbelievable, right? You and I spoke earlier about track prep, right? And the difference between in the 70s when you guys had kind of first started doing it all yourselves versus now, if somebody's racing, there's Pro Mod race on Friday or Saturday, like they're dragging that thing right now.
Yeah.
They're dragging that racetrack
No
right now.
question about it.
Right.
No question about it.
So,
And we also talked about, all the legends that were at Cayuga Dragway, and we ran the WWCS, the Windsor World Championship Series, a Division I race. It started there, and Don Garlitz was there, Shirley Muldowney was there, Bill Grumpy Chink was there, Gap and Roush, and all those hitters. And back in that time, the only time you could get, you had the East Coast teams and you had the West Coast teams. So we ran 16 nitro funny cars on a regular basis back then. And the only time you could do it was when they were circling north, right? They would come and run the Spring Nationals in Columbus, and then we would, US 131, which was, I don't even know what it was called there, but they would get all those cars on Saturday night, then they would load up and they would come to Cayuga on Sunday. So that's when you got Prudhomme, McEwen. We never had John Force. I guess that was a little bit before him, but I mean McEwen and Prudhomme and McCullough and Beadle and Billy Meyer and on and on and on and on and on, and Jungle Jim, right? And that always reminds me of a story with Don Prudhomme. He would run at US 131 Saturday night, and he would come to Cayuga on Sunday. And it was like clockwork. Sunday morning at 2:00 on Saturday night or Sunday morning, my phone would ring beside my bed. I would answer the phone, and he would go, "Mehlenbacher." I go, "Hey, Snake, how are you?" He goes, "I'm okay." He said, and he would go, you know, we're over here at US 131, and Goose and I, we're having a few beers and we're having some fun. And do you really think you need us there tomorrow? Right? And I'll tell you, this happened year after year. It didn't happen once in a while. Every year they were over there having fun. And I could almost set my watch when my phone was going to go off on Sunday morning. And I go, "Of course we need you. You're the biggest thing in drag racing, right? Get in your truck and get your butt up here." So,
Yeah.
Memories like that, are priceless. They're priceless.
Absolutely. Especially in a time like today where you don't have those characters, right? We spoke about that earlier a little bit too, right? The characters in drag racing at that time, you just don't have them today, right? You don't have those same guys. They don't do the same circuits, right? They did obviously the NHRA stuff and follow that tour, but this was so much different, right? Where they, with the traveling show almost, to a certain point, and then I don't know, the relationships are so different, the racers are so different, and those guys, like, they were doing this from nothing, it's so cool, right? And like it's all racers, they're all just regular guys, right? You always say that with the conversations you have in different interviews, but like these dudes were your regular run-of-the-mill guy that you would catch, I don't know, any day at just working at an auto shop. They're all the same guys, just doing cool stuff, and so really neat. And I don't know, that's just a really a golden era of drag racing, right? That's so cool to have been a part of, obviously for you, I would imagine.
Oh yeah, it's been interesting over the years, and yeah, we have met a lot of different people, and it's interesting. You can still go to. I don't go to many of the big deals anymore, but when I do, I'll see Shirley there or Garlitz, and they all remember being at Cayuga. They all remember being at Cayuga, and because it was a big deal. It was a big deal. But going back to that too, it was interesting because Darwin Dahl and the NHRA group, they had their certain guys that ran top fuel in Division 1, just like they had their certain group that ran in Division 3 and that ran in all the different divisions. So Darwin would get his nose a little bit out of joint when we would bring Shirley in or Gary Back and Don Garlitz, right? And so and I remember Darwin came to Dad. He said, "You can't pay these guys anymore to come in." So he said, "If they show up, I can't do anything about it." So what Dad did is he would book them in on Victoria Day weekend and another race during the year, and he'd pay them more money for Victoria Day weekend in 1 and 3. And the deal was you come and run the NHRA race for free, right? And there's a way of figuring it all out. And yeah, that's how we had to do stuff, a lot of things. But they were all there. And also, I'm talking comp eliminator and modified eliminator, super stock, they're all legends. They were at Cuga, the pro stock guys, right? So, yeah, it's an interesting history for sure.
Yeah, there's so much there. Like you already said it right about, you can't remember it all because there would have been so much happening, right? And then so much. For me, when I think of that time period, I was thinking of the innovation with it, classes like comp, stock, super stock things. The innovation that came from that time period, and what the racers were doing. I want, like, on a budget isn't the right word, but like just pulling things out of thin air, right? And how smart these racers were, and how much they changed racing at that period of time and really shifted it forward. Really cool. I love the stories. I could listen to them all day, right?
Yeah. Well, FJ Smith's a good example. I mean,
Yep.
he got an opportunity to build those superstock cars, and they're all over the place. Right? It was an innovative idea that they got him involved into that, and it made FJ Smith what he is today, without a question. So, and there was Audie and Mike Janis. I mean, look at what Mike Janis is doing. I mean, he ran at Cayuga too every Saturday night, right? And it was, and there was Toronto Motorsport, or not Georgetown, like whatever it was called at Toronto back then too. It was interesting. I wasn't very old, but we all ran our points championship, and I remember back then the Vanny brothers were big in modified eliminator. They were big, period, but they were big and God bless them. And they convinced everybody in modified eliminator, we're all going to go to Georgetown on Saturday night. We're not going to Cuga. Next week, we'll go to Cuga, right? And so anyway, everybody went to Georgetown, and guess who showed up at Cuga? The Vanny brothers, right? So it was, there were a bunch of foxes back then, just like they are now, but they all had a good time.
Yeah. Bruce, we do have a special guest joining us.
Oh no, Andrew. I feel honored now.
Yeah.
Hi, Andrew. How you doing, pal?
We're surviving. We're solving the world's issues here, but we're getting there. I had an emergency meeting, and I apologize.
Yeah. Well, he's kept me talking for the last hour, so telling stories. So
that's all right. I figured this would be one of those shows that goes a little over time, which I was hoping to be able to jump in on and say hello and catch the last little bit of it, because
I appreciate that. And I told the group, I mean, your dad started at Dragway Park when we were there too, so I've known you all of your life, right? And thanks for giving back to what you guys do for the sport. It's important that we keep carrying this deal on.
Much appreciated, sir. Much appreciated.
Sooner or later, old guys like me aren't going to be around. I have trouble remembering stuff, right? So.
Yeah,
anyway, it's good, and I appreciate the opportunity to promote our series and promote our teams. That's important to me. You guys all know I go above and beyond doing that stuff and promote the teams and the series, and that's one thing that the teams love. They like their name in lights, right? And we talked about it earlier. I mean, there's guys like you that want to go do the big deal, and there's teams that want to come and run with me 4 times a year, and then there's the regular guys that just wants to go out on Sunday afternoon, and it's all good. It's all good, and it's all drag racing, right? So we're all hooked. And I told Brandon earlier on, I had a conversation with Jim Audie today, and Jim's got to be 80 years old, and he's in good shape. And the first time he was at Cuba was in 1958, and we talk about it all the time. And those guys were running. I mean, you do enough running around, but they ran Lancaster, Toronto, Cayuga, Niagara.
They would do laps around some of the stuff we do now. So
every week, right? Every week they run Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and one midweek, and it was comp eliminator, modified eliminator, super stock eliminator, and stock eliminator, right? And then while that was all cool, but so was the bracket formula with the bracket races. And I remember it started at Division 1. Like we tried to come up with a way. well, we come up with the whole bracket program back then, and the legends that went through that: Harry Snap, Pete Newman, Tom Kasperzak. I mean, over and over. I mean, John Reese, right? John Reese, and I saw Jojo Pineapple, a couple months ago, and all these guys. I mean, and they were so important to the history of the sport as well, And the Division One bracket finals started in Division One, and I remember sitting around the table with Mike Lewis at Maple Grove and Todd Mack from MIR and Beaver Bob McCardle. And we were all trying to do the same thing. We were trying to figure out a way to keep our teams home, right? Not running around like you two guys are, right? Because it was a big deal here, a big deal there, and that's when we started the bracket finals. So it was going to be their one big deal at the end of the year. And it worked for a while, but there's always somebody that ventures from the herd, right?
Yeah.
And it's all good.
Andrew, before we do roll out, since you just jumped on, do you have any? And put you on the spot, is what it is. That's how it goes.
That's all right.
Do you have any good Bruce stories? Obviously, you guys have known each other for a long time. There's a lot of history there. Or do you know? Does Dave have any good Bruce stories?
Well, there was a good few number of years there where I got to follow. Not in the Quick 32, but vicariously through the Quick 32, because I had a friend who was running in it, and I recall seeing many times the frantic, but I won't say frantic, but controlled chaos that took place behind the scenes, making what was an immensely popular series. I think like some of the best fast bracket racing I think I've ever seen, to be quite honest with you, because it was a local scene that had a lot of big players in it. And I can't really think of on the spot one great story. I recall there being one event where, 16 on 16, right? 16 dragsters, 16 door cars. I remember going through, and I had my friend at the time, Mike, he was qualifying well. It wasn't a matter of not getting in the field, but I remember looking at it and seeing like 22 or 23 top dragsters and like all high quality pieces. And to be quite frank, there may have been some wagering behind the scenes on what the bump spot was going to be. And, the fact that we were looking at going like, I think a 699 might be the bump for this, non-IHRA, non-NHRA 16 car field. And there was 18 or 19 cars that could do it, and they get it up at 701. And I'm pretty sure it was actually Mike's second car that was like the number 17 car at 703. And we were all disappointed because I think we had a 699 tune-up in it. And that was my ticket to winning it, and we missed the mark in the background. And thinking to myself, like, this is just incredible, right? Like, here we are, and it was Cayuga, now that I think about it, on like a Saturday night. We had nitrous on one car, blower on the other. We're trying to figure out how to make this thing go 699. Ended up going into a massive wheel stand that didn't hurt anything, but it was like we were 5 pounds away from the front nose, thinking, like, this is incredible. Like, this was the Saturday night at Cayuga, just trying to get in to go racing on Sunday. And maybe not so much a Bruce story per se, but Bruce involved with it. Just an awesome experience. I loved it. And I'd go bracket race my Corvette and go back to reality going 920s, right? And,
Yeah. Oh, we talked about that a little bit earlier too. And when the Quick 32 first started, I had teams coming to me and they were going, what if I can't qualify? What if I can't qualify? What if I can't qualify? And then we revolved through that. It was, I'm going to qualify. I'm going to qualify. And that's what you're talking about. That's what, Andrew, that's what racing is. Go quick, right? And the same thing happened at Empire when the last 3 years, what if I can't qualify? What if I can't qualify? It was the number one question, right? And I said, well, if you don't qualify, we'll do. You'll run somewhere. I'll put you in box or no box, or I'll run a non-qualifiers race. And now, I'm probably jinxing myself, but nobody said that to me this year. And I've got. We talked about it earlier. I got 31 top dragsters committed to show one, and 22 top sportsmen, and these are all first class cars committed, and we're still 2.5 weeks away, right? And I picked up a couple last night. I picked up a couple more today, and you lose a couple because of this, that, or the next thing. But they've got that mentality now. I'm going to qualify, right? And I expect that the top dragster field's going to be a 450 bump probably. So, and I don't know what the top sportsman thing will be, but it's going to be competitive. And you know what? Any given team can win on any given night. And the other thing that I'm really proud of, and I'll shut up, is I got 10 or 12 Ontario teams coming down to run with us down there. And you feel a little bit of like the Pied Piper, but I know that I'm doing things right when I've got teams that are driving by a couple other racetracks to come and race for me. And we talked about it later. You know, Kevin Wickie, the DeJongs, Gable, Ryan Harris, the rookie kid, is going to run our program this year. Noakes always promises. They haven't made it yet. Louis Romando and Sampson ran with us, and Mike Wagg's coming down, and then Wickie and Wilson and Gray. I mean, Wilson and Gray, they're one of the toughest bracket competitors there is in top sportsmen. And Shauna come down. She says, "I'm coming down and run with you this year." Shauna Woodstruth. So, it's fun. It really is fun. So.
It is cool. I love it, Bruce. That's great. I'm looking forward to hearing the results from that. I'm looking forward to doing it. We'll see. We've talked about it. We got a couple race cars that'll make that 450 bump. So,
There you go. There you go.
At least one that'll for sure get there.
You're always welcome. You're always welcome.
Absolutely. I would love to do that. I would love to get down there sometime. We've spoke about it before when we talked about fast, top dragster stuff, because, we'd love to open some things up, and really let it fly. But, you got to be at the right race to do that. Going 420 at a bracket race doesn't always make sense, but going 420 at a fast bracket race with a qualified field, that makes a lot more sense. So we'll see what happens. I'd love to come down.
I'll make sure I get the results to you guys too, so you have them for your broadcast.
That'd be great. Absolutely, that'd be awesome. We'll do that. We'll talk about it for sure. I'm excited to see how it goes. There's no doubt in my mind, right? We know how this is going to go for you, right? It's going to be an awesome event, well run. That's what people come to expect at a Bruce Mehlenbacher event. That's what people come to expect from a Quick 32 event, Pro Bike and Sled Series, and the 550 Super Series. So should be awesome. Bruce, I believe you are one of the last of the old school promoters, right? There's not a whole lot of guys that do it like you. There's not a whole lot of guys that have the press releases the way you do and post them all out and don't give up on all that stuff, right? Because there's only so many guys that still do it. It's really cool to see. It's really cool to see how each racer gets highlighted for your series before the event. I love following it. Like I said, I've always wanted to run it. It'd be cool. I'd love to try at some point to get down there. We'll see what happens. But yeah, good luck to you in everything moving forward. I'd love to see, like we talked about the Pro Mod racing, right? It's so packed right now with everything that's going on, right? There's 100 series that it seems right now for Pro Mods, but would be wicked to see a PMRA resurgence at some point. I know that's on your mind and lots of other stuff, but either way, whatever you do, would expect it to be great, Bruce, and looking forward to seeing it all. Thank you very much for taking your time to be on here. Before I do cut you loose, is there anybody that you want to thank or want to talk about before we do let you free for tonight?
Well, not really. Other than my family, I talked to Jim about it today, and like I've been involved in motorsport in one shape or form all my life, and whether it's been drag racing and stock car racing or snow tracks television or raceline radio, or I was gone, and it didn't matter to my kids. I had 3 great daughters, and it didn't matter. I could have worked at Stelco or the hydro plant, and Dad's gone to work, right? And yeah, I was having fun, and my brother worked at Stelco, and he's golfing every day now, and I'm still working. But he said, you know what? I hated every day I went to work, and I love every day that I go to work. So I'm thankful for my family who's always supported me, and I got great teams. Like I got great teams. I mean, I got great teams. I don't know what else I can say. I'm friends with so many of them. I talked about Kevin Wicke. You know, Kevin's dad passed away a couple of days ago. We mentioned that earlier in the show. And Kevin started with me in the first year. He won the championship in 09 and 010. We're good friends. We went to the PRI show a couple times, in Florida together, and he's still there. He's still there, backing me. And Caden won a race last year, and so it's revolved to another generation of his family. So it's fun, and I'm thankful that I get to do what I love doing. And who we cheering for tomorrow night anyway? Florida or Edmonton?
Got to be Edmonton.
Yeah, that's no brainer.
Listen, Paul Maurice. I don't want to take it too much of a tangent as I slide in here at the end, but there's a dude and goaltender there, Bobrovsky. Those guys deserve back-to-back cups, and then from there on out, Canada can win every cup for the rest of time. But there's two stories there. I don't know.
Yeah, I get it.
Got to go with the Rats, I guess, a little bit here, right?
Yeah, well, anyway, I got to go, guys. I got to go to work. I worked on this deal till 1 o'clock this morning, and I can't, no sense watching the Jays game because they're getting beat up by all.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks for having me. Anytime, anytime you need somebody to fill some air, give me a shout, and I'll be sure to get you the results. And thank you. Awesome. I appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely.
Thank you for coming on, Bruce.
We appreciate
you. Guys, take care.
We'll talk to you soon, buddy. Have a good one.
Yes,
bye. Oh, Andrew, you missed a good one. I'll tell you.
I know.
We had a good conversation though. You would have had a hard time sliding in there, right? Like
that's all right. I figured you and Bruce would hit it off well there. I apologize for the last minute notice of not making it in, but municipal stuff kind of, this is what happens when you become a elected politician, I guess, right? So
absolutely.
My apologies to everyone, but
I did start the show with informing everyone that I don't know if everybody's aware of how big of a deal that Andrew is, but he's a big deal.
Oh boy. No, I appreciate the build up on that one, but I assure you it was much bigger than it needed to be there for anyone listening. But yeah, I'm sure it was a great convo. I look forward to going back and listening to it as anyone can on all the platforms that you subscribe to get this podcast. See, slick, I'm losing the touch there, but it's Bruce, great guy, great series. Always loved watching them. The Quick 32, Pro Bike and Sled. The 550 series looks like it's going to be an awesome setup for them as they roll forward. In fact, I spent the weekend in Ohio at the Dragway 42, running down there, and had conversations with folks about the Quick 32 stuff at Empire. So, when you've got the reach that that series is starting to get to, it's exciting, and it's going to be great results. To see how it comes up, and hopefully the Canadians, let's see them bring some of that gross domestic product and cash back home. But
absolutely. Andrew, let's hit a quick Dragway 42 recap.
Had one car that worked awesome. Had one car that was willing to leave behind and sell because we had issues. We went rounds, let go good, had terrible time pulling into the staging lanes. That is bracket racing. Made the money round one day, had a great time. If you haven't hit up an ace race, do yourself a favor and find a way into one of their next two events over the next year. But we had a good time. Weather was an issue. We lost Friday, so it became a twin 30 instead of a triple 20. But Canadians did well. There was quite a few of us. Unfortunately, some bowed out early. Tim Blythe off the motor in day one, so he did what every great drag racer does. He goes out and found another ride. I can't give any more information up in case there's a rental car company out there that may need to know more info. But dedicated, right? But fun weekend. Said ace people did what ace people do best, and that's put on an awesome race that filled us our bellies with food and had a lot of great racing. Sunday was a long day, so
yes, it looked like it. That's how it goes. Yeah. Let me know when you want to drop that Mustang off at my place. Make all those headaches go away, brother.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm glad I brought it home. I think we got her fixed. I was able to leave the top-notch crew that is Dad and my buddy Pete at the race shop. We're going to see this weekend, and we head to Coonley Motorsports Park for the jet race. I'll report back if you see a for sale sign on Sunday night or Monday morning. I'm open for offers.
Yeah, absolutely. No, all right. All good. All right, bud. Well, glad you made it home safe for your first Ohio trip.
Yes.
Have fun on the second one. Leg 2
Appreciate it.
of headed to Ohio. We will talk soon. You and I haven't talked in a while, right? We haven't caught up.
It's been that type of busy.
Yeah, absolutely. You've been busy at the racetrack. Me, I've been sitting in the rain, but that's how it goes.
Fair.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in tonight, for sticking with us for this whole one. I know it went a little long. It's all good, right? We still got a bunch of people on here, so appreciate all you guys checking us all out. Thanks, pro1safety.ca, keeping myself safe, keeping Andrew safe, keeping everybody else out there safe on the racetrack. Keep doing what we love. Contact your local suppliers. Questions, anything like that, send us here at Bracket Life, a message, whatever you want. Give us a call. Lots of great info out there. Thank you guys very much. We will talk to you all soon. Have fun. Hopefully the weather's nice for everyone to go racing soon. Talk to you all later. Bye.
Canadian racers, make sure your next set of seatbelts and racing suit are from pro1safety.ca. Pro One Racing and Safety products offer high-quality products made in the USA and now distributed in Canada. Pro One Canada offers seatbelts, racing suits, helmets, and all sorts of safety accessories for drag racers. See for yourself why NHRA sportsmen world champions such as Bo Butner, Jeff Strickland, the Emmons brothers, Austin Williams, and many more rely on Pro One Racing and Safety products. Join the winners. Choose Pro One. Buy high-quality American-made products from your Canadian wholesale distributor at pro1safety.ca.